Imagine achieving the one goal you've spent the last 10 years chasing: the promotion, the dream business, the $1 million. Now imagine waking up the next morning feeling almost the same. How is that possible? We've all been taught the same story: study hard, work hard, become successful, and happiness will naturally follow. It's a simple formula, one we've believed since childhood. But what if that formula is incomplete? What if success isn't the finish line have we been promised? Here's something strange. Some of the world's most successful people have admitted that the moment they reached their biggest goal, they immediately started chasing another one. Why? Shouldn't success finally feel enough? Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar popularized a concept called the Arrival Fallacy. It's the belief that reaching a specific milestone, getting the dream job, earning a certain amount of money, or becoming successful will permanently transform your happiness. But when people finally arrive, they often discover something unexpected. The destination feels real. The permanent happiness doesn't. Imagine climbing a mountain you've dreamed about for years. Every step feels meaningful. Every sacrifice seems worth it. Finally, you reach the top. For a few moments, the view is breathtaking. Then your mind does something remarkable. It starts looking for the next mountain. Not because you're ungrateful, because your brain was built to keep moving. Think about your own life. What's one goal you were absolutely convinced would change everything? Getting into university? Buying your first car? Landing your current job? How long did that excitement really last? A few months? Maybe less? This isn't a personal failure. It's a pattern psychologists have observed for decades. Researchers studying hedonic adaptation have found that people naturally adjust to positive changes over time. What once felt extraordinary gradually becomes ordinary. Yesterday's dream becomes today's routine, and today's routine creates tomorrow's ambition. So, if success doesn't make us permanently happy, why do we keep believing the next achievement will? Because your brain isn't designed to reward arrival. It's designed to reward pursuit. Imagine training for your first marathon. For months, your life revolves around one goal: early mornings, sore muscles, sacrifices. Every day, you picture yourself crossing the finish line. Finally, race day arrives. You cross the line. People cheer. You feel incredible. But a week later, something feels different. The excitement is faded, and without realizing it, you start searching for another challenge. Not because the marathon wasn't meaningful, but because your mind has already begun asking, what's next? Neuroscientists now understand that dopamine is less about pleasure and more about motivation and anticipation. Your brain releases dopamine as you move toward a meaningful goal. It pushes you to keep going, to keep improving, to keep surviving. From an evolutionary perspective, this system helped humans find food, build shelter, and prepare for the future. The problem is, your brain never learned the difference between surviving and endlessly chasing achievement. Think about the last time you desperately wanted something: a promotion, a new phone, a dream job, maybe even your first successful business. Remember how often you imagined getting it? Now ask yourself, do you still think about it with that same excitement today? Probably not, because anticipation ended the moment reality began. This doesn't mean ambition is bad. In fact, ambition has built civilizations. It has driven scientific discoveries, created life-saving inventions, and pushed people to accomplish extraordinary things. The danger begins when achievement becomes the only place you expect happiness to exist. Because every time you reach one destination, your brain quietly replaces it with another. And that's exactly why some of the world's highest achievers experience a feeling they never expected. Not failure, not regret, but emptiness. Olympic athletes have spoken about feeling lost after winning gold medals. Entrepreneurs often describe a surprising emotional crash after selling the companies they spent years building. Even elite performers sometimes struggle after reaching the goal they believed would define their lives. The achievement wasn't meaningless, but once the mission ended, so did the structure that had given their daily life purpose. For years, they knew exactly what they were chasing. Now, they had to answer a much harder question. Who am I without the next goal? Here's the mistake almost every high achiever makes. They don't just chase success, they slowly become their success. And that's where the real problem begins. Imagine introducing yourself to a stranger. What's the first thing you say? I'm a doctor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a lawyer. I run a successful company. Notice something? We rarely describe who we are. We describe what we've achieved. Over time, our achievements stop being something we possess. They become something we believe we are. For years, your life has one clear direction: graduate, get promoted, build the business, reach financial freedom. Every morning has a mission. Every sacrifice has a purpose. Every difficult day feels worth it because you're moving towards something bigger. Then one day, you finally arrive. The goal you've imagined for years is complete. And suddenly, the question changes. Not, how do I get there, but what do I do now? Think about this. Have you ever worked so hard toward one goal that after achieving it, you almost felt lost? Not because the goal wasn't important, but because the chase had quietly become your purpose. Psychologists have long distinguished between extrinsic goals, such as money, status, or recognition, and intrinsic goals, like personal growth, close relationships, and contributing to something meaningful. Research consistently shows that when a person's identity depends primarily on external achievements, their well-being becomes far more vulnerable when those achievements change or disappear. Because if success defines your identity, every setback feels like losing a part of yourself. And this explains something that seems impossible from the outside. Why can someone have fame, millions of dollars, and everything they once dreamed of, yet still feel empty? Because success answers one question: what have I achieved? It doesn't automatically answer a much deeper one: who am I? Those are two completely different questions, and confusing them has left countless successful people searching for meaning long after they achieved everything they once wanted. The happiest high achievers aren't necessarily the ones who accomplishes the most. They're often the ones who refuse to let success become their entire identity. They build businesses, but they also build friendships. They pursue excellence, but they also protect their health. They chase ambitious goals without allowing those goals to determine their self-worth. So, does this mean success is meaningless? Not at all. Success can change your life. It can create freedom, security, opportunity, and the ability to help the people you love. The problem isn't success. The problem is expecting success, to answer questions it was never meant to answer. Think back to the person you were before you started chasing your biggest goal. You believed there was one moment, one achievement, one finish line that would finally make everything feel complete. But life doesn't work that way. Because success is a destination, meaning is a direction. One can be reached, the other has to be lived every single day. Imagine spending 20 years building the perfect house. Every detail is exactly how you imagined it. The day you move in, you realize something surprising. The house gave you a place to live. It couldn't give you a reason to live. That part was always your responsibility. This is why psychologists often distinguish between achievement and well-being. Achievement answers, what have I accomplished? Well-being asks, how am I actually living? The two can support each other, but they are not the same thing, and confusing them has left countless people chasing a life they never stopped to question. The most fulfilled people don't stop chasing goals. They simply stop believing that the next goal will finally complete them. They celebrate success, then they return to the things that give success its meaning: their family, their friendships, their health, their curiosity, their purpose. Because achievements create milestones, but meaning is created in the ordinary moments between those milestones.